in our state. We had one before in 2009, but so much has happened since then that it's time to update it, make it stronger. And this is just another way that we've been communicating, collaborating, cooperating with the government, private sector, private people, and finding ways to make South Carolina even a better place. So we're getting up to date and getting ahead. And this is a good day and a great place. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Governor. I'm Representative Mark Smith from House District 99. It is a great day in South Carolina, like the governor said, and this was such an easy bill to get behind, and just so proud of every one of my fellow House colleagues for getting behind this bill and coming together and realizing this is a nonpartisan issue, knowing that there's over 100,000 residents here in South Carolina impacted and touched by the Alzheimer's disease. And that doesn't count all of their families and the extended family members. You look to the person to the left of you or the person to the right of you, and we are all impacted by this in some level. And to know that we're going to come back together and have a plan in place, and every 5 years have that plan updated, knowing that we have such a shortage in neurologists in our state and access to care. You have a governor and a legislative body standing shoulder to shoulder behind him and next to him, who's going to and committed to making a difference for all of you. We see you, family members, we hear you, and we are committed to making sure that we come alongside you to enhance that quality of life for this terrible, terrible disease that knows no boundaries from which it will touch. God bless all of you who've had any level of input and touching this, and we continue to look forward to working together for the good of all of South Carolina.
Good afternoon. My name is Taylor Wilson. I work for the Alzheimer's Association South Carolina chapter. And it's my honor to be here with you today with Governor McMaster, Mr. President, Senator Shealy, Representative Smith, Director Connie Munn, Director Michael Leach, and all other partners surrounding this podium. It is truly a momentous day in South Carolina. When I was a caregiver for my grandmother during her journey with dementia, there were days and there were nights where I felt alone. I was experiencing what many call the long goodbye, standing guard over my grandmother as this disease in her brain cruelly stole her memories, not only of what day it was, but also who I was and how much I loved her. Many sundowns found me braced for her aggression or her confusion, and many more sunrises found me sleep-deprived and anxious, having either anticipated a fall that never came or having called emergency services at 3 a.m., to help me lift her back up and check her for injuries. All this as the person I loved forgot me. I was lost and I felt invisible. After experiencing caregiving for someone with dementia firsthand, I have come to my roles at the Alzheimer's Association and the Alzheimer's Resource Coordination Council with a fire in my heart to do something, to make sustainable change for families facing dementia. The first step is always the plan, and today South Carolina takes that first step. This plan serves as a guide to ensure efficacy, accountability, and accessibility. The partner state agencies, healthcare workforces, care providers, researchers, doctors, educators, and most importantly, communities to best serve families facing dementia with local resources and support are present. It provides measurable goals that will be the parameters of our collaborative implementation for the next 5 years, and this bill, S569, ensures that progress will be shared annually with the legislature. It also ensures that we don't give up at the end of 5 years. It certifies that we will come back to the table, partners here today and those that will have a seat at the table in the future, and we will plan again. We will plan and implement the lifelines to caregivers across the state with strategic purpose and vision. Today, South Carolina proves that it sees its caregivers. The House of Representatives sees families facing the dementia diagnosis. The Senate sees our people living with dementia and their loved ones. Our governor has the foresight of a brighter future. This is just the first step. With this new law, the beautiful Palmetto State shares with the Alzheimer's Association, the governor, bill sponsors, Mr. President, Senator Katrina Shealy, Representative Mark Smith, and all other co-sponsors of a world without Alzheimer's and all other dementia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taylor, and just appreciate the great work that you're doing in the Alzheimer's Association, our governor, for your leadership and your commitment to a bright future of South Carolina. And I cannot say enough about Chair Lady Katrina Shealy and your wonderful work and your dedication to seeing this across the finish line, and to have great support like Senator Tom Young and certainly a good friend Mark Smith in his remarks. And I think that does demonstrate that this issue and having a plan for the future, and things have changed a lot with Alzheimer's, and it's important that we as a state provide the resources, the guidelines, the direction that will help those that are facing this terrible, terrible disease. But also, as has been focused this morning, on the caregivers. My heart truly goes out to those that are providing care to their loved ones in a situation that they never expected to have to be facing in their life. And that is the reason I think that we as a General Assembly, and led by the leadership of the governor, have come together of making sure that we'll provide the type of resources, the needs, the help that we can, not just for today, but a plan for tomorrow, a plan for the next 5 years and the 5 years after that, because it is a disease that continues to move, having different impacts on different people at different times of their life. So today we do celebrate the 3 C's that the governor likes to celebrate, that I never can remember all 3 of them. So I will acknowledge the 3, but it is those 3 that we stand on as the principles of today that will move South Carolina forward for the families and the loved ones that are suffering from this terrible disease. And I'm proud to stand here today to be a part of this. And again, congratulate Senator Shealy for the great work. And it's my pleasure now to have Senator Shealy come to the podium to make remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you especially to Taylor Wilson. I want to thank you for all your hard work on Alzheimer's and related dementias. You're truly the voice in this State House for some of the most vulnerable South Carolinians. Your tireless efforts make a big difference, and we would not be here today without you. South Carolina has many, many challenges as we face dementia crisis that plagues our state. From a lack of geriatricians and neurologists to scarce resources for patients and families. We have unfortunately fallen behind for far too long. However, through the growing partnerships with Taylor Wilson and the Alzheimer's Association, Governor McMaster and Representative Mark Smith in the House and our other House members who are here today, we are starting to make headway. And I want to mention also Senator Tom Young, who's here, who's also fought this battle with family members. Through this newly codified state plan, we will be able to identify the resources we need, where we need them, and the best way to obtain them, so that South Carolina is no longer lags behind our neighbors, but can become a leader in this field. We have already invested in our bid to obtain an Alzheimer's Disease Research Center in South Carolina through a partnership between USC, MUSC, and Clemson. We have also invested in a brain health center at USC and working to stand up a rural brain health network. We have partnered with these research universities as well as with the Department on Aging, Public Health, Social Services, Health and Human Services, and others to tackle this crisis in a holistic way. We can achieve more by working together, and this legislation brings together all the major pieces of the puzzle so we can bring much needed relief to South Carolinians and help find a cure one day for this terrible disease. As many of you may know, Alzheimer's is very personal to me. My husband has suffered for several years, and it's a challenge every day. As his primary caregiver, I see firsthand the impacts of this disease can have on both the patient and the family. I'm excited about the progress I wish it had been sooner, but there is much more to be done, and I look forward to continuing the fight with each of you. And now I'm happy to return it back to the governor, my friend, for an additional few remarks. You need to do this quick before I cry.
Thank you, Senator. I was watching the TV this morning, and y'all have heard something about the 6 degrees of separation among people. Well, they said somehow they confirmed it, that if you take 6 degrees of separation, all of us, 6 degrees from us to the next and then to the next, that everybody in the world is within 6 degrees of separation. That's an interesting thought, hard to think. But when you think of Alzheimer's, everybody is a fact that everybody here in this room or someone that we know, right? Whether it be a family member or someone who is not a family member that we know and close with, will be face to face in just that degree of separation from this disease. So it is highly appropriate that we are doing what we're doing. I want to thank Katrina especially for her dedication to this. I have learned over the years, particularly in the political area, that there are people among us, either in the private sector or in public office, that are experts on everything under the sun. And the trick is to get them together to share that expertise. I've noticed in the legislature that nothing happens in our state that there's not someone in an office in this building that knows about it, knows something about it, or knows someone who knows all about it. So when we communicate, collaborate, and cooperate, that's how we bring that power together. So that's what we're doing here. And I'd note that back in 1825, South Carolina was the second state in the country at that time, or as many states, but we're the second one. Virginia was the first to have a state Department of Mental Health. They call it the Asylum. The building's still there. Architect Robert Mills, who also designed the Washington Monument. But we were way ahead then, and we need to be way ahead now. And this, I believe, is the best vehicle to take us there. So thank you to everyone. And now let's sign up.
Well, actually, in this, this part of this legislation where we have the Disease Research Center and the partnership with USC, MUSC, and Clemson, this does include rural health care. This is going to be, I'm correct, this is rural research and healthcare facilities. So this will include that. Taylor probably is has a better answer to that, how that will work. But this is going to have rural research centers and healthcare facilities for dementia.
The big part about rural healthcare and helping families facing dementia in rural communities, as the Senator well knows, and her support for these research facilities, is first getting an accurate diagnosis. And that means to educate and inform our nurse practitioners, our federally qualified health centers, our health systems, and that's something that is written throughout the state plan. But outside of that, it's also about providing localized case management so that local resources like sitter services and church break rooms and things of that nature are known to individuals from the minute they get that accurate diagnosis from their physician or their nurse practitioner. So those are also written through the plan. We'll be continuing to concentrate on rural health as well as on specialty populations. We know that women make up 2/3 of Alzheimer's diagnosis, so we know that we need to work more with our women populations. We also know that there are minority populations who need more education and support as well, and that's written into the plan. So we're very excited to start this work with those who need it the most.
I do want to say one other thing. It's very hard to get caregiver services in South Carolina. I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere, but it's very hard to get caregiver services that are qualified for Alzheimer's and dementia care patients. So that's another thing that we need to research and help people until you've been there and you've been a caregiver for an Alzheimer's patient, you don't know how stressing that is for the caregiver to be there 24/7. I mean, because it's not like an 8-hour-a-day job where you get to leave and go home and take a nap and, get a nice peaceful supper. You're there all the time. So we need to do, research into how to get more people to get into that field.
More questions?
I think that the reason that we haven't had an opportunity to update it is because we have been trying to stand up an appropriate task force. The Alzheimer's Resource Coordination Center, housed at the Department on Aging, is now fully staffed by a dementia coordinator, thanks to the General Assembly 2 years ago. They saw the need, and I said, listen, if we're going to move Alzheimer's change forward, we need somebody who has their finger on the pulse. So they said, we'll give you a dementia coordinator. That dementia coordinator got in there. We fully appointed the council that oversees that for advisory. And then immediately, right after that, we were able to get a state plan. So it really is about the legislature putting people in place and resources in place to make an impact. So they have believed in this since we started years ago and have really made the necessary changes in order for us to achieve this level of success.
More questions? Okay, that concludes this. Thank you very much.